Hey everybody, DQWERTY here. Welcome back to 5 Block Friday, where this week we're creating some fractals. This is an implementation of the chaos game in Minecraft, which is an algorithm that uses some randomness to generate a handful of different fractals, including, in this case, the Sierpinski triangle. There's already a bunch of good videos on what the chaos game is and why it works, so I'll link a few of those in the description. But as a basic overview, to draw the Sierpinski triangle, we set the three corners, and then we start at any point in the middle. From that point, we choose a random corner, go halfway to that corner, draw another point, and then repeat the process over and over again, randomly choosing one of the three corners each time. If we come down here, you can see that in this implementation, this armor stand is what's drawing the points, and there are other armor stands at the corners that we can choose between. This armor stand has a name tag. It's the Chaos Painter, and all of the corners have a name tag called Chaos Corner that allows them to be selected as the random corner. Since I can't very easily do the math to get the exact halfway point with just commands, I have a helper entity that is being spawned every time a corner is selected, that then travels towards our little drawing entity. They're traveling at the same speed, so the point where they meet is the halfway point, which is where the armor stand decides to draw another pixel. As I was doing the research for this episode, I also learned for the first time myself that the chaos game can be used to generate other fractals, including the Sierpinski carpet. With the Sierpinski carpet, you have your four corners as well as the midpoint of each side. And a slight difference is that instead of traveling to the halfway point, you have to travel 2/3 of the way to your target. Since I was able to get the base chaos game for the Sierpinski triangle in just 4 commands, I was able to use the 5th command to add the functionality that if our little painting entity is wearing Swift Sneak leggings, it will travel twice as fast, and so the point where it meets the helper entity will be 2/3 from where it started to the vertex it chose. So yes, this will take a while to generate. So I have set up a little bit of cheaty extra commands. This just repeats commands number 2 and 3 over and over again several times within the tick to speed up moving the painter. And because this is still going quite slow, I can also do some tick sprint to speed this up even more. And it's taking a bit, but you can see the Sierpinski's carpet starting to come together with a large empty square in the middle and an empty square in the center of each of the 8 squares surrounding that, and so on and so forth. I'm going to let this continue to generate for a bit in the background while we go look at what the commands are that make this all work, and then we can look at some of the other fractals that can be generated with the chaos game. Our first command takes care of summoning a helper entity at a random corner. To start, we'll bail early if the helper entity already exists. This target selector is looking for markers that have the name Chaos Painter. This name field will find any entity that has had the custom name set with commands or with a name tag, as well as any players that have a name that matches the name field. Then we execute at the position of a random armor stand named Chaos Corner. And at the position, we summon a new marker with the name Chaos Painter. Because this marker exists now, this command will bail early on future ticks until the marker entity is destroyed. Our second command takes care of moving our main point plotting entity and the helper entity towards each other. We execute as all entities named Chaos Painter at their location. I should probably add a type is unequal to player to this target selector, just to make sure that any player named Chaos Painter doesn't get caught up in this command. Then we update our rotation to be facing towards any other entity named Chaos Painter that is more than 0.9 blocks away from us. If there is no entity more than 0.9 blocks away from us, this command will fail, which is important for the next command. Finally, we update our anchored position to be anchored to our feet. This is probably redundant, but I like anchoring my position if I'm going to be using relative coordinates. With that new rotation facing the other entity, we move each entity 0.3 blocks forward. So after this command, they should be 0.6 blocks closer than they were at the start. This third command takes care of moving the main plotter forwards again if it has the Swift Sneak enchantment on its leggings. This is run in a conditional block, so it will only run if the previous command was successful, which means that the entities were further than 0.9 blocks away from each other. To start, we select all entities named Chaos Painter and move to their position. Then we only execute if this items check works. The fields of this item check start, we have our entity selector, the current entity. Armor.legs is the inventory slot that we're looking at, so the leggings of the armor stand. This asterisk here means we don't care what the item ID is. We just care that the components and predicates in the square braces here all pass. Inside the square braces, we have a enchantment predicate. This checks to see if the enchantments on the item contain Swift Sneak, but the tilde here means that this is a soft match, so it can contain Swift Sneak as well as other enchantments. It doesn't have to be exactly a perfect match to just Swift Sneak on the leggings. Then we update our rotation to face any marker named Chaos Painter. We don't have any distance check on this one because the distance check was run in the previous command. Again, we have this anchored to our feet, which is probably redundant. And then for the main command, we just move another 0.3 blocks forward. Our fourth command takes care of painting the ground. To start, we execute as just the armor stands named Chaos Painter at their location, and then we check if a marker named Chaos Painter is within 0.901 blocks of this entity. Then we check if the block underneath us is white concrete, and if all of those conditions are met, we set the block underneath us to black concrete. Our last command takes care of destroying our helper entity so that a new one can be generated at a random corner next tick. To start, we execute as any armor stand named Chaos Painter at the location of that armor stand, and our main command is just to kill the nearest marker entity named Chaos Painter that is within 0.901 blocks of us. Now that it's had plenty of time to run, you can see the Sierpinski carpet coming together quite nicely. Some of the fuzziness here is just unavoidable based on the nature of the algorithm and the relative size of the pixels we're using with our Minecraft blocks. But you can definitely tell the main structure of the carpet coming together. There's not much more to say for this episode, but I will leave you with a couple time lapses of a couple more fractals, creating the Vixsec fractal, which is sort of like a binary tree fractal, except it goes in 4 directions instead of 2, and the hex flake, which includes the Coke snowflake in the middle of it. But other than those time lapses, that's it for this episode. Thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you all in the future.